Hare Krishna, my friends. It's Friday night. Here we are in Bhaktiville. Welcome, welcome. We're here with Kandita and Bhaktimimulus and our friend Bhakti Greece. We're all here. And hello to you if you're listening to us streaming in Facebook or listening to us on YouTube. Welcome. So we're continuing our reading of the teachings of Queen Kunti by Srila Prabhupada. The transcribed lectures by Srila Prabhupada about this specific section of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a sacred text of the Vaishnavas. Queen Kunti is Lord Krishna's aunt, and she has just been through the mill, but she was always dependent on her nephew Krishna. While Lord Krishna is not our nephew, her approach to depending on him is a model for developing our love for him. Let's continue our reading. We're starting chapter 7 tonight, which is on page 68 of the PDF. Me offer my obeisances and offer and invoke blessings from the Vaishnavas and our Guru. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripasindubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo namaha. Also, my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So this is obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees, past, present, and future, in this world and every other world around. So because they are just like that, they fulfill the desires. At the verse, it's here on the board to my left, and let's just look at the word for word first before we look at the Sanskrit and the translation. So, Vishat, from poison, Maha Agne, from the great fire, Purusha Adi, the man-eaters, Darshanat, by combating, Asat, vicious, Sabayaha, assembly, Vanavasa, exiled to the forest, Mrade, again and again in battle, Anika, many, Maharata, great generals, Astrataha, weapons, Droni, the son of Dronacharya, Astrataha, from the weapons of, Cha and Asma, indicating past tense, Hare, O my Lord, Abhirakshitaha, protected completely. All right, the verse in Sanskrit. Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichataha Mride Neke Maharatas Droni Asratas Hare Birakshitaha. Translation in English. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from great generals fought, and now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. So I want to just go over some of these references because Srila Prabhupada talks about them here, and so I want to just make sure everyone knows about these stories. So the poisoned cake. So Bhima, one of the Pandavas, was his and they really didn't like him at all, really at all. And he was a really big eater, and so they poisoned his food. They had a big banquet, and just his plate was poisoned. All the food, tons of food. And they thought, oh, so he'll pass out, and we'll just roll him into the river. We'll tie him up and roll him into the river, and off he'll go down the river, and everything will be cool. We'll get rid of him. So they did that. And he, just kept going on doing his stuff that day. And then finally he did fall asleep. And so they did do that. They did tie him up and they did roll him into the river. And the river took him down the river to where the Nagas lived. And the Nagas were curious about what was going on. So they untied him and they found out what the story was. And they were like, this is terrible. They were biting him. They were biting him. And apparently the Naga's bite is so he revived and told them the story. And they were incensed, like how could a cousin do such a thing? And so they gave him this nectar to make him stronger. He was already strong, but they gave him this rust, and he was this like huge fighter, really strong, and he could just eat copious amounts of food. And so he drank 5 of these buckets of this rust, and so now he was even stronger than he was before. So they're got even better. So that's the poison cake. The Great Fire was, they keep making these, Greece says poisoning someone's food, never nice. No, never nice. Okay, the Great Fire, so they made these houses, these kind of pleasure houses. And so they made a house for the family to go live in. And it's like, oh, this is such a wonderful house. But someone told them along the way, watch out because this house is made of black. They're going to burn it. And so be careful. So as soon as they got into the house, they started digging a tunnel underneath the house in a way so that when it did catch on fire, they were able to escape from this fire. Okay, cannibals, again, they got another beautiful house to stay in this village. And in this village, there was a cannibal who every night went to a different house, and the people had to give them one of their people. So their night, right? It's their night. And so they decided to give this cannibal Bhima. And we already know Bhima's just going to smash him. So yeah, that's what he did. He killed the cannibal. The vicious assembly, that's the one where Draupadi gets gambled away and they try to take her clothes, her sari, off. From sufferings during their exile in the forest. That's the whole Mahabharata. I'm not going to go through all those stories, but there's plenty of those. And then the Battle of Kurukshetra. And so I'm so sorry. I'm trying to stay still. Okay, if you can, that would be great. Kandita is offering to fill in. At this point, the battle has not happened. I think it has. I don't know. I have to think about that for a little while. I can't think of any other battle where great generals have fought. Yeah, no, there are kill the very last member of their family. He wants to kill the baby in the womb. So the battle's over. And Ashwatthama, well, we'll see if Prabhupada mentions that, so we'll keep it that. One more story in reserve. All right. All right, on to the text. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother, and her put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. They were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom, and each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set afire. And once Draupadi was dragged out, and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth and forest. Bhima had to fight with the man-eater demon, Hidimba Rakshasa, but the Lord saved them. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was the great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, and who are all powerful fighters. And at last, even when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra, released by the son of Dronacharya, to kill the child within the womb. Greece says, a different man-eater demon. Yes, not the 80s song, I imagine, no. This is way before that one. So here, Kunti remembers all the dangers through which she passed before the Pandavas regained their kingdom. In Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Krishna says, Kunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashati. My dear Arjuna, you may declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. The Pandavas, the sons of Pandu, in the material world are interested in material things, the Pandavas were put into many dangers. Their materialistic uncle, Dhritarashtra, was always planning to kill them and usurp the kingdom for his own sons. That was his policy from the very beginning. What a horrible uncle. Anyway, once Dhritarashtra constructed a house of lac, which was so inflammable that when touched with a match, it would immediately burst into fire. Then he told his nephews and his sister-in-law Kunti. Kandita has a question. I'm curious. Kunti says that they were saved by Lord Krishna every single time, yet I wonder why she says that. Because the Lord never physically shows himself there or nearby to save them, unlike in Vrindavan. Let's keep that question in mind as we read and see if we can answer it as we go on. Okay? It's a good question. Formula says yes. All right. So, constructed this house for you. But Dhritarashtra's brother, Vidura, informed them of Dhritarashtra's policy. He wants you to go to that house so that you may burn to ashes. When Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana understood that Vidura had thus informed the Pandavas, he was very angry. Such is the nature of politics. Then, although the Pandavas knew our uncle's plan is to go there. After all, Dhritarashtra was their guardian, and they did not want to be disobedient to the order of a superior. But they dug a tunnel under that house, and when the house was set on fire, they escaped. Another time, when the Pandavas were at home, Dhritarashtra gave them poison cakes. but they escaped from being poisoned. Then, Purushada Darshanat, they met a man-eating demon named Hidamba Rakshasa, but Bhima fought with him and killed him. On another occasion, in the royal assembly of the Kurus, Dhritarashtra, Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, and other elderly persons were present, and somehow or other Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas, was placed as a bet. Now if you lose, the Kurus told the Pandavas, Draupadi will no longer be your wife. So when the Pandavas lost the game, Karna and Dushasana immediately captured her. Now you no longer belong to your husbands, they told her. You are our property. We can deal with you as we like. Insulted Draupadi's Svayamvara. In those days, a very qualified princess would select her own husband in a ceremony called a Svayamvara. In modern America, of course, any girl may select a husband as she likes, although for a common girl, this is actually not very good. Kundita says, what horrible men. Yes, horrible indeed. Prabhupada says, common girl, probably not very good. But even in those times, an uncommon, highly qualified girl even this, however, was limited by very strict conditions. Draupadi's father, for example, placed a fish on the ceiling, and he stipulated that in order to qualify to marry his daughter, a prince had to shoot an arrow and pierce the eye of the fish. Easy enough, but without directly seeing the fish, but seeing only its reflection in a pot of water on the floor. When these conditions were declared, many princes came to compete, for responding to a challenge is a principle for a Kshatriya, a heroic leader. Karna was present. Draupadi's real purpose was to accept Arjuna as her husband, but Karna was there, and she knew that if he competed, Arjuna would not be able to succeed. At that time, it was not known that Karna was a Kshatriya. He was born the son of Kunti before her marriage, but that was a secret. Remember, she had that special boon that she could have children from the gods, and so she tried it out, and she had a baby before she was married. So that's Karna. So Karna had been maintained by a carpenter, and therefore he was known as a Shudra, a member of the lowest occupational division of society. Greece says, ah, a child of the gods. Yes, neat power. Yes, true. Draupadi took advantage of this by saying, in this assembly, only Kshatriyas may compete. I do not want any carpenter to come here and take part in the competition. In this way, Karna was excluded. Karna regarded this as he was lost in the game. He was the first to come forward. He was Duryodhana's great friend, and he said, now, we want to see the naked beauty of Draupadi. Present at that meeting were elderly persons like Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Dronacharya, but they did not protest. They did not say, what is this? You're going to strip a lady naked in this assembly? And because they did not protest, they are described as Asat Sabhaya, an assembly of uncultured men. It has become fashionable. According to the Vedic culture, a woman is not supposed to be naked before anyone except her husband. Therefore, because these men wanted to see Draupadi naked in that great assembly, they were all rascals. The word sat means gentle, and asat means rude. Therefore, Kunti Devi prays to Lord Krsna, you saved Draupadi in that assembly of rude men. When the Kurus were taking away Draupadi, sorry to see her naked, come to the end of it. Finally, with heaps of cloth stacked in the room, they became tired and realized she would never be naked. They could understand it is impossible. Okay, Kandita has a comment. Actually, I heard it's not easy to shoot an arrow into the eye of a fish. Fish eyes are very slippery, and the arrow can shift off to the side. To shoot the eye, the arrow has to penetrate the exact center of the eye, the pupil. Challenging. Arjun was able to succeed in that. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. Yes, he won. Greece says, ooh, sounds hard. Yes, definitely sounds hard. All right, back to our text. At first, Draupadi had tried to hold on to her sari. But what could she do? After all, she was a woman, and the Kurus were trying to strip her naked. So she cried and prayed to Krishna, save my honor. But she also tried to save herself by holding on to her sari. Friend, yes, same Arjuna. Arjuna married Krishna's sister, Subhadra. So then she thought, it is impossible to save my honor in this way, and she let go and simply raised her arms and prayed, Krishna, if you like, you can save me. Thus the Lord responded to her prayers. Therefore, it is not very good to try to save oneself. Rather, one should simply depend on Krishna. Krishna, if you save me, that is all right. Otherwise, kill me. You may do as you like. As Bhaktiville. So I sang this earlier in practice. See if I can do it. Manasa deha geha yo kichumor arpiluntuya pade nanda kisho. It's a great song. Yes. My dear Lord, whatever I have in my possession, I surrender unto you. And what do I have? But whatever I have, I surrender everything unto you. That is full surrender. A devotee of Krishna surrenders unto Krishna without reservation, and therefore he is called a kinchana. The word kinchana refers to something one reserves for oneself, and a kinchana means that one does not keep anything for oneself. Of course, although actually one should surrender in this way, in the material world, one should not artificially imitate those who are fully surrendered. Possessions one has, one should give 50% for Krishna, 25% for one's relatives, who will also expect something, and one should keep 25% for personal emergencies. Before his retirement, Rupa Goswami divided his money in this way, although later, when his brother Sanatana Goswami, another great devotee, was arrested, Rupa Goswami spent everything. This is full surrender. Similarly, Draupadi fully surrendered to Krishna without trying to, and the Kurus could not see her naked. But then, in the next game of chess, the bet was that if the Pandavas lost the game, they would go to the forest for 12 years. Thereafter, they were to remain incognito for 1 year, and if detected, they would have to live in the forest again for another 12 years. This game also the Pandavas lost. So for 12 years, they lived in the forest, and for 1 year incognito. It was while they were living incognito in the book known as the Mahabharata. Bhaktiville says they need to stop gambling. I know, what's up with that? The word Maha means great or greater, and Bharata refers to India. Thus, the Mahabharata is the history of Greater India. Sometimes people regard these accounts as stories or mythology, but that is nonsense. The Mahabharata and the Puranas are histories. The Sanskrit word for histories is itihasa. Was recorded chronologically, how many pages would it have to be? Therefore, only the most important incidents are selected and described in the Mahabharata. Greece says, they should stop gambling on such dumb stakes. Make smaller bets. Kandita says, Kshatriyas just love to gamble. What can we say? This is the story. So Kunti prays to Krishna by describing how he saved the Pandavas on the battle of Kurukshetra. Mride Mrideneka Maharata, great fighters called Maharatas. Just as military men in modern days are given titles like lieutenant, captain, commander, and commander-in-chief, formerly there were titles like Ekarata, Atirata, and Maharata. Another comment from Kandita. And if a Kshatriya is challenged, he has to accept the challenge. He can't back out of it. Yeah, not my cup of tea, but somebody's got to do that, I guess. All right. So the word, so Rata. So if a warrior could fight against one chariot, he was called Ekarata. And if he could fight against thousands of chariots, he was called Maharata. All the commanders on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were Maharatas. Many of them are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Bhishma, Karna, Dronacharya were especially great commanders. They were such powerful fighters that although Arjuna was also a Maharata, before them he was nothing. Dronacharya and the others, and come out victorious. While speaking with Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit also referred to this. The battlefield of Kurukshetra, he said, was just like an ocean, and the warriors were like many ferocious aquatic animals. But by the grace of Krishna, my grandfather Arjuna crossed over this ocean very easily. This is very significant. We may have many enemies who may be very powerful fighters, but if we remain under the Hare Krishna Moreke, Hare Krishna Rakeke. So Rake is protect and Mare is kill. So if Krishna protects you, no one can kill you. But if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. So Prabhupada translates this as, he whom Krishna protects, no one can kill. But if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can give him protection. For example, suppose a very rich man is suffering from disease. He may have a first-class physician. This means that Krishna desired this man must die. Therefore, the so-called protective methods we have devised will be useless if Krishna does not desire us to live. Greece says, because no one is stronger than Krishna. Exactly. The demon Ravana was very powerful, but when Krishna, in the form of Lord Ramachandra, desired to kill him, no one could protect him. Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva and was praying to Lord Shiva, please come danger. But Lord Shiva and Parvati, Lord Shiva's wife, asked Lord Shiva, what is this? He is such a great devotee and has served you so much, and now he is in danger and is is asking your help. Why are you not going to help him?" Then Lord Shiva replied, "My dear Parvati, what shall I do? I cannot give him protection. It is not possible. Why shall I go? Therefore, if God wants to kill someone, no one can give him protection. And if God wants to protect someone, Rakeke." Thus, Kunti is remembering how Krishna saved her and her sons one time after another. This is Smaranam, thinking of Krishna. Krishna, you are so kind to us that you have saved us from many great dangers. Without you, there was no hope. Then the last danger was Droniastra, the weapon of Ashvatthama, the son of Drona. Ashvatthama performed a most abominable act by killing the 5. So Ashvatthama thought, if I just kill the Pandavas, then everything will be cool. It'll be good. And my family will be the best. And so he went to go kill them and cut the heads off these 5 people, but they ended up being the sons of the Pandavas. So it was a very tragic mistake, but so. Of course, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, both sides belonged to the same family, and practically everyone was killed, but the 5 sons heads to Duryodhana, he will be very much pleased. Therefore, when the 5 sons were sleeping, he severed their heads, which he then presented to Duryodhana. At that time, Duryodhana was incapacitated. His spine was broken, and he could not move. Ashvatthama said, "I have brought the 5 heads of the Pandavas, my dear Duryodhana." At first, Duryodhana was very glad, but he knew how to test the heads to see whether they were in fact the heads of the Pandavas. He said, "Oh, these are not the heads of the Pandavas. They must be the heads of their sons." When Ashvatthama admitted that this was so, Duryodhana fainted, and when he revived, he said, "You have killed all our hopes. I had hoped that in our family at least these 5 sons would survive, but now you have killed them." And thus in lamentation he died. Subsequently, Arjuna arrested Ashvatthama and was going to kill him. Not a Brahmin, he is less than a Shudra. But then Draupadi said, "I am suffering because of the death of my sons, and this rascal is the son of our Guru Maharaj, Dronacharya, who has done so much for us. If Ashvatthama dies, then Dronacharya's wife, our mother Guru, will be very much unhappy. So release him and let him go away." And Dronacharya's wife is Bhanumati. Thus, Arjuna freed Ashvatthama. But then, unleashing a Brahmastra. Brahmastra is something like a nuclear weapon. It can go to the enemy wherever he is and kill him. Ashvatthama knew the last descendant of the Kuru family is Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu. He is in the womb of Uttara, so let me kill him also, and then the entire dynasty will be finished. And I want to rub my hands and go, whoa. But, how horrible. When that weapon was unleashed, Parikshit Maharaj felt it to happen, and therefore she approached Krishna saying, "Please save me." And Krishna, by his mystic power, therefore entered the womb of Uttara and saved the child. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Parikshit Maharaj, who was still in the womb of his mother, was the last remaining descendant of the Pandavas, and in mature time, when he was born, only his grandfathers were still alive. Parikshit Maharaj was the son of Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjuna and Subhadra, Krishna's sister. And 7 great commanders joined forces to kill him. Subhadra had only one grandchild, Parikshit Maharaj. As soon as he grew up, the entire estate of the Pandavas was entrusted to him, and all the Pandavas left home and went to the Himalayas. This history is described in the Mahabharata. Many great misfortunes befell the Pandavas, but in all circumstances they simply depend on Krishna, who always saved them. Queen Kunti's response to these misfortunes is a cliffhanger. So, Kandita, was your question answered? How Krishna saved them in all those instances? The house of lack, Vidura came and told them about the fire. So, Kandita, you're saying that Krishna
now
wasn't
I'm on.
directly involved? Yeah, here,
Yeah,
I see you now.
like in Vrindavan, all the residents, they could see him. They could see him fighting each demon that came to kill him and attack the residents of Vrindavan. I mean, Queen Kunti is a pure devotee, so she knows that, yes, Krishna is everywhere and Krishna is, saving us, but, where is he?
Well, so I think that part of this, what we can glean from this story, is that in our own lives, we don't see Krishna, but we know that he's the food that we get, the heat that we have, the place that we live, the things that happen to us are all directed by Krishna. And so I think she's saying all of this is directed by you, even though he's not there, um, right there in front of us, like the Vrindavan pastimes.
Well,
And
all
Greece says,
right.
right, we just can't see him with our human eyes. And Mimulus says, by faith. So I think she,
I agree with that, but in general,
well,
but
no, she's different in that she knows that Krishna is God. The
I
others
see.
don't. She knows that
Right.
Krishna is God. So
Oh, I
she
see.
she has a slightly different perspective on what's going on.
I see.
And so she's grateful that he is, the hand of God, helping her family with all of these different trials and tribulations, directing people to help, directing the Nagas, directing Vidura, directing, but they didn't see him when he gave. So,
See him when he gave what? Your voice cut out just at that
sorry,
point.
I started moving again. Um, he gave the sari cloth to
Oh,
Draupadi. No one
okay.
saw him do that. So all
Right.
of those things were hand of God type things.
Right.
So
Okay.
I so let me read this verse again, the English. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poison cake during our exile in the forest and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. None of that was heard, my reading of the verse?
No, some of it was.
Okay, just the end. Sorry. Well, maybe you can just chop it off there. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
And cross your fingers, okay? I'll cross my fingers too. Yeah,
Your
I don't.
what? Your
He says in
finger.
chat, he's going to send me a new mic and cross his fingers, but then he changed it
Oh,
to fingers.
oh,
I like fingers. Well,
that's great.
yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Well, and so if you send me this new mic, and
Yeah, you should get a new mic for Pete's sake. This happens every
I did say
time.
good night. Good night. I did say,
Good night.
otherwise Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada. Good night. I did.
good
Yeah,
night.
listen, this is like